Before Tuesday's historic first criminal arraignment of an ex-president of the United States, there were two major things to be afraid of. The first was that although Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's case may have cited credible evidence of alleged wrongdoing by Donald Trump, his legal theory may prove too nebulous, complex, and seem like too much of a throwback to a 7-year-old election to be an easy sell to the general public. The other was that Trump would retaliate with such rage and incitement that he would rip even deeper rifts in a country already alienated by his aberrant presidency, and incite fresh unrest that could further harm crucial political and judicial institutions. On a day that Trump referred to as surreal in a social media post, sent as he was being driven to court to turn himself in, both of those worst-case scenarios came true. As a result, as the nation prepares for yet another bitter election, another grim and even tragic chapter could lie ahead for a nation that is still far from recovering from the effects of Trump's one term. The ex-president left his skyscraper home in the city where he found fame as a real estate shark and tabloid-filling celebrity, but that was now set to place him under arrest, as one of the most ominous days in American legal history began. Trump entered the courthouse slowly and was taken to have his fingerprints taken. The once powerful man in the world was captured in news photos with a face like thunder and sitting at a table with attorneys like any other defendant, reflecting his moment of stunning indignity. Trump didn't speak to reporters after the hearing and kept quiet in court, saying only not guilty. However, by the time Trump switched the courtroom's stark decor for friendly ground, under the crystal chandeliers of his Florida resort's gold-leafed hotel, he was ready to erupt. He exclaimed, "Our country's gone to hell," in a rambling rant full of conspiracies that also turned into a furious tirade against the investigators in other, possibly more serious cases. His enraged response to those cases demonstrated that he is growing more concerned about his exposure, as prosecutors look into his attempt to steal Joe Biden's victory in Georgia in 2020, his hoarding of classified information, and his actions leading up to the January 6, 2021 uprising. But it also made note of the possibility that Trump might soon face additional indictments, given that several investigations appear to be nearing completion. It's possible that Tuesday's events will be eclipsed, given that the Manhattan case's next hearing is scheduled for December 4, and the other cases appear to deal with more important constitutional issues. Although the day a former president was accused of a crime will always be remembered, it may be seen as more of the beginning of a threatening process for Trump than its historic conclusion. The fundamental and straightforward premise of Bragg's case is that no one, not even an ex-president who has his sights set on the White House once more, should be above the law. However, the district attorney's detractors worry that a different equally important principle is at work. Whether someone who is well-known, wealthy, and powerful is being prosecuted, while a less well-known person may be let off the hook. The statement of facts that accompanied the indictment stated that defendant Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that concealed damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. According to the accusation papers, Trump and his then-attorney Michael Cohen collaborated with American Media Incorporated to pay Stormy Daniels, a star of the adult film industry, and Karen McDougal, a former Playboy model, as well as a doorman at Trump Tower. Payouts and secret funds are not prohibited. But Democrat Bragg claims that Trump fabricated financial records to conceal the payments. Such offenses would typically be considered misdemeanors. However, Bragg asserted that if the books were falsified to conceal evidence of criminal activity related to the 2016 campaign, a felony charge could be brought. Trump acted in a sleazy manner, as documented in court documents and in a prior Cohen case. However, some legal experts noted that Bragg's legal roadmap might pave the way for forceful pretrial motions. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe stated on CNN on Tuesday night that his veteran law enforcement colleagues were disappointed that the Bragg indictment and statement of facts were not more specific regarding the threshold necessary to charge Trump with a felony. Everyone had hoped to learn more about how the prosecution would proceed and what legal theory would link the very strong misdemeanor case to the intent to cover up another crime, stated McCabe. At the end of the day, it's difficult to imagine persuading a jury that they should be found guilty if all of our legal friends read this indictment and don't see a way to a felony. However, Bragg insisted that failing to charge Trump would violate every fundamental tenet of American justice. He stated at a news conference following Trump's court appearance, "We cannot and will not normalize serious criminal conduct." Such cases, according to him, were the bread and butter of the work his office did. At its core, the current case contains allegations similar to those in a large number of our white-collar cases. Allegations that someone repeatedly told lies in order to advance their interests and break the laws for which we are all responsible, said Bragg. The legal case's apparent complexity will be resolved in court. Given that Trump is a former president who is running for re-election in 2024, it will also have significant political implications. It will be more difficult for everyone else to understand the logic behind Bragg's case, if it is difficult for lawyers to do so. Many may wonder if the politically radioactive action of indicting an ex-president for the first time in American history truly justifies the falsifying of business records to conceal an alleged affair from years before the 2016 election, which now feels long ago. Some Republicans who do not support the former president, such as former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton in an appearance on CNN, were persuaded that the Bragg indictment could turn against the district attorney and favor Trump politically. Senator Mitt Romney of Utah, a fellow Trump hater, also took issue with the situation. In my opinion, President Trump is unfit for office due to his behavior and character. However, I think the New York prosecutor overreached in order to bring felony charges to suit a political agenda, Romney said. Trump should enjoy the right to be presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty, just like any other American in his position. He can use every available legal tool, unlike many other defendants, to try to dismiss the case. He launched a tirade bristling with lies about the investigations against him, Biden's presidency, and his term in office, after receiving a hero's welcome at his home in Mar-a-Lago. Reiterating his false allegations that the 2020 election was stolen from him, he characterized Bragg's investigation and other similar efforts as attempts to fix a different election. In a speech, he asserted, "They can't beat us at the ballot box, so they try and beat us through the law." He also claimed the Manhattan case's judge and his wife were Trump-hating. The former president's logic was frequently hard to understand, and he frequently shouted certain words to emphasize them in a way that showed his rage. Trump, however, opened another window into one while rambling. He is adopting the strategy of some of the most notorious demagogues in the world by attempting to undermine faith in institutions that work to control his behavior, and by alleging he is the target of political persecution. Trump's skill at spreading misinformation is highlighted by the way he has persuaded millions of his supporters that the 2016 election was rigged. Trump's indictment may benefit him politically, according to some political analysts, at least temporarily. Since the grand jury decided to indict him last week, his campaign claims that donations have been pouring in. And if they want to, Trump's adversaries and potential GOP rivals will have to stand in line and denounce Bragg for his actions. But it's impossible to predict how Tuesday's events will turn out months in advance of the GOP primary. Previous data indicates that Trump gained support from base voters as his views become more extreme. However, the former president can also learn less favorable political lessons from the past. The radicalism he displayed on Tuesday night in front of a primetime television audience was precisely the kind of radicalism that led to the Republican Party's disappointing results in the 2020 presidential election and the 2022 midterm elections.